In this second part to our managers and leaders videos, I'm going to be looking at why both managers and leaders are really important, really crucial to a successful organization. And if an organization wishes to meet its targets, to develop, to grow, to be sustainable, it needs a healthy mix of effective management and effective leadership. And this is really important for you because whether you sit in the manager category or the leadership category or not, it's important to know that both are critical. And so what we're also going to do here is look at some of the ways in which you can improve management and how managers in the past have undertaken certain methods to improve their management style, and the same for leadership as well. Look at how leaders can perform better, what makes a good leader. As many of you who took the survey said that the management and leadership skills demonstrated by your respective managers or leaders were really important in what made them successful managers and leaders. So if you want to achieve that management or leadership position, it's really important that you learn what makes an effective manager. So I'm going to start by giving you an example of effective leaders and effective managers and the difference that it can make. And the first thing I'm going to bring up is some images of people that are world-renowned as being very effective leaders, brilliant leaders, minds that have changed the world. So we've got Steve Jobs, we've got Bill Gates, Elon Musk here, all renowned as brilliant leaders that had visions that created enormous trillion-dollar companies out of their ideas and brought everyone into it and moved them along to achieve their vision. But actually, whilst they are brilliant leaders, they are also renowned for being very poor managers. When Microsoft first started, Bill Gates tried to micromanage everything and change everything, and it really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And as a result, Microsoft as well started to slow down in its growth because basically the company needed him to be the leader and for him to let all the other people in the organization get on with their job. The same for people like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. They were renowned for micromanaging or not being able to communicate the more base tasks effectively and to really orchestrate and structure everything effectively. So eventually this was left to other individuals who were better suited, and it allowed them to focus on being leaders. And a similar situation actually happened in Facebook. When Facebook was being founded, people like Mark Zuckerberg, etc. were leaders. But all the different people that were leaders within Facebook were not getting anything done because they were just focusing on the big picture all the time. They were focusing on new ideas, starting new things before they'd finished others. And so what they did was they brought in Sheryl Sandberg as the chief operating officer. Now, she understood why you needed discipline, why you needed management within an organization. And it was because of this that she was able to provide a lot more structure, to provide a lot more coordination, and that's what helped Facebook to flourish into the organization that it is today. So, one way of trying to think about this and to create a metaphor is to almost look at it from the perspective of both a manager and a leader. What a manager sees in an organization, what a leader sees in an organization. And this is a very simple way of summarizing it. A leader sees where we are right now and they see their vision. They've got a vision for the future, a vision for products that they want to create, a vision for changing the world, etc. So we're here right now and we want to get to here. That's what the leader sees. They say to everyone, let's get to here, let's get to my vision. But of course, there is a huge gap between the present and the vision. And it is in this gap here that the manager operates. The manager sees all the necessary steps needed to get from the present to the vision. Now, the manager may not be able to create the vision and to influence people and motivate people to move towards that vision to the same extent, but the manager is the person that puts into place all the different shorter and medium-term plans and goals and objectives that help take the organization from the present to the vision. So an organization needs a leader, and it needs leaders within the company, because leaders provide the overarching direction for the business, where it's heading. They inspire individuals within the company to be motivated to move towards that vision. And ultimately, they create the long-term goals, the long-term plans for the organization. But the company also needs a manager and management to organize everything, to create plans, the shorter, the medium-term plans for how we're going to get there, to set the targets, to set the milestones, etc. They need to coordinate everything. If you think about a company the size of Apple, a company the size of Tesla, they operate in loads of countries all over the world, thousands and thousands of employees. Now, you can't organize all of that, all those people, making sure they're all working on things that push the organization along, etc., if you just have one leader at the top that has a vision. It needs a structure in place of coordination, orchestration, making sure everyone's goals are aligned, making sure there are systems in place, making sure people adhere to those systems, etc. And they also need managers for performance measurement as well, to make sure that the company is on track, to make sure it's hitting certain deadlines, to make sure that it has money in the budget, etc., and it's not going over budget. All these things are just as critical to the success of an organization. And if we look at these various different companies here, if we look at Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, all these companies, they required both management and leadership in order to be successful. So whilst it's very fashionable in academic literature to play down the role of management and say that it's actually leaders that we want, everyone needs to be a leader, don't think of yourself as a manager, don't try to aspire to be a manager. Everyone has to be a leader. Everyone needs to worry about inspiring people and creating a vision and direction. Well, you can't have that because, as we saw, Facebook couldn't operate effectively like that. They needed people that could put the effective management structures in place. If you just have a whole company full of leaders who all have their own idea and don't have any tangible process for turning their vision, their idea into reality, then the company is never going to go anywhere. So the important takeaway here is both of them are equally important for different reasons. You cannot have a leader that turns a company into a huge success without effective management, and without an effective leader to create a direction, etc., then managers have nothing to work towards. So both are needed for success. So how do you become a better leader or a better manager? What are some of the key traits of each of these, and how can you work on them? What kinds of things can you do to improve on your leadership and management skills? Well, let's first look at what it takes to become a better leader and look at what is required to be an effective leader. Well, one of the key things here is communication. Improve your communication skills, practice your speeches, practice talking to people and understanding and empathizing where they are coming from. Because in order to inspire, in order to be motivating, you have to be charismatic, you have to be someone that people respect, that people look up to. A good leader will also be passionate about their vision. People like Steve Jobs, people like Elon Musk, they're passionate about something. They're passionate about changing the way we view technology. They're passionate about creating electric cars because it's better for the environment, and they're passionate about the environment. Because that passion is infectious, and that's what helps you to be motivating, helps you to be influential. Be decisive as well. A leader makes decisions. A leader assesses the information and makes a decision and then expects everyone to follow that decision. There's no, well, maybe we should tone down this part of the business a bit and maybe put a bit of resources into this part of the business, etc. No, a leader is decisive. When Steve Jobs went back to Apple after having initially left, he looked at all the products that the company was making and estimated that around 70% of them were completely inefficient, were not of good enough quality or anything like that. Now, rather than saying we need to improve the quality of these, or perhaps we need to investigate ways of improving the efficiency, etc., he said, right, we're going to scrap 70% of the products that we produce and we're just going to focus on the remaining 30%. So that was a very big, bold, decisive decision, which clearly paid off in the long run, as over the course of the next couple of decades, Apple went from a company that was quite far behind its competitors and struggling to being one of the absolute biggest companies that the world has ever seen. And also, a leader is responsible. A leader is responsible for everything that goes on in the organization. Ultimately, they're trying to turn their vision into reality. So everything that goes right, everything that goes wrong, all the people involved are their responsibility. So if you want to improve on being a better leader, then you have to demonstrate that to anyone you are trying to influence, anyone that is working for you. You have to take the responsibility. Don't go blaming other people for failures. You need to be responsible. It's all on you, and you have to learn how to bear that burden. Now, for management and being a better manager, as we saw earlier, you're in the more short to medium term, you're in the organization part of the business. You are looking to create structures that allow people to work effectively in order to achieve the vision of the organization. So part of this is managing expectations. Learn to be able to express to people what is expected of them, that they are expected to achieve a certain amount, but perhaps be careful that we don't expect you to do X, Y, Z in the next year, because that may cause disappointment for them if they do not achieve it. So you learn how to manage the expectations of everyone around you, the people you report to, the people that report into you, etc., so that everyone can expect certain things on time and that everything is done to a reasonable time frame. You're not over or underestimating how long things are going to take, how much things are going to cost, etc. Also, be consistent as a manager. If you have a rule for staff or how you're going to treat them or what you expect of them, then expect that from everyone. Don't provide any favoritism to certain individuals or anything like that. And also, don't keep changing your mind about what is considered a good piece of work or what is considered an on-time piece of work, etc., because that doesn't help manage expectations. So have very consistent systems in place so they become objective, and therefore everyone can know what they are doing and everyone knows where they sit within the structure. Make sure you align your resources effectively as well. Understand the strengths and weaknesses of the staff that you have working for you and play to those strengths. So you're maximizing the efficiency of your team, of your department, whatever it may be, over any given time period. And finally, become more data-driven. Managers need to be very data literate, and they need to use data as much as possible to understand performance, to understand where the inefficiencies are within an organization, and understand then how they can improve on those inefficiencies. Because that's more the role of a manager there, is to identify inefficiencies and improve on them. It's the leader's job to have the vision of where the company is going. It's the manager's job to ensure that all the resources, all the data, all the information needed to get there is handy and utilized effectively. So that's the end of this video, looking at the differences between managers and leaders, looking at why they are so important for the success of a company. We've also looked at some ways in which managers and leaders can improve and the different traits that make a good leader, the different traits that make a good manager. And if you want to watch the first part of the video where we looked at some of the key distinctions between the two and how you could perhaps identify where you sit on that spectrum, then by all means like and subscribe to this video, and you can find it on our Managers and Leadership channel. And we're also going to be producing several videos over the coming weeks about different leadership styles and what those different leadership styles are, what the strengths of them are, what the weaknesses are of them as well, and where they are most useful. So do like and subscribe and stay tuned for that.